Hello, English language learners. Welcome to Learn English with Dr. DK. So, as you can see, we are going to be live today, and today is our Zoom session, English speaking practice session. So, if you are interested, I already posted the link, and some of you already have a link in your email too. So, you can join the session at this time. And if you watched my last week's videos, then you might know that we are already discussing the women empowerment. So feel free to join the session without fear. I was not feeling well, and I'm still not feeling well actually, but I was like, okay, let's try. If I'm not gonna cough, then we will continue the session. It's the flu season here in America, and I have a flu. So let's see how many of you are going to join and for how long we will be able to keep this session on. So most of you will be talking today and I will be listening. I will be talking less. Okay, so yes, good. So again, I always say, don't be scared. It's okay to practice and it's okay to make mistakes, not purposely, but learn from your mistakes, right? So जो आपका वो comfort zone है, just come out of it. क्योंकि practice और improvement तभी हो सकती है जब हम कोशिश करेंगे, right? So try your best. Don't be scared. And moreover, as you know, I don't insist you to be visible. So you are behind the camera. So no one even recognize who is speaking. So you should not be scared at all, right? Okay. And as I always say, I don't judge you. And moreover, it's just a language. And language, it doesn't determine your intelligence, okay? Because you are learning English as a second language, maybe third language. So it's okay. Just be confident and be motivated, okay? So let's see, we have Ankit, Ravi, Nair, and Tasneem. So Ankit and Ravi.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. So you were here last week in...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you know the topic we are talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's start the topic so, the students can keep joining us, but we can start it now. So I'm going to share the PowerPoint and then you will be taking turns to read and then we will discuss the topic. So we already started the first slide, and now, as you know, this moment they call it a feminist moment also. And who is another student? So let's read from the why the women are, don't have an equal status in the history, because as you know, woman's traditional role was as a wife and a mother, right? And most of, like every part of the world, I will say, so women were mostly were staying home and taking care of the family, right? So their role was different. So let's read this slide. And Ravi, let's start from you.
Okay, ma'am. The first movements began mainly in response to the relocation of people from rural areas to cities and towns and society. Industrializations, the industrial age brought about great economic and political change. Those changes altered women's traditional role and caused women to question their status.
Right. So the They altered. This word is altered woman's traditional role. Okay.
Ma'am, means altered mean alternative.
Or yes, altered means change करना किसी चीज, right?
Sure.
Altered जैसे जैसे कई बार नहीं होता वो, ये मैंने शर्ट है इसको मैंने ऑल्टर करवाना है, दैट मीन्स उसको यहाँ टाइट करवाना है, लूज करवाना, राइट? सो चेंज करना किसी चीज को,
Okay.
इट्स प्रीटी मच लाइक चेंज,
Yes,
ऑल्टर्ड.
ma'am. But change already mentioned. उससे पहले mention भी है change is and
दोस ऑल्टर्ड, अब वही जैसे चेंज है पर उसके उसकी जो स्टेटस है उसके ऊपर उसको चेंज करना, उसमें बदलाव लाना, राइट?
okay,
ऑल्टर्ड,
ma'am.
अब जैसे जैसे मैं आपको एग्जांपल दे रही हूँ, कपड़े की कोई ऑल्टर करना, दैट मीन्स उसको छोटा करना, बड़ा करना, लूज करना, टाइट करना, यू नो, शेप चेंज करना. तो
Shape.
सेम यहाँ पे आ गया कि उसका स्टेटस चेंज करना, राइट?
In this line, maybe traditional roles maybe changes. That means traditional roles.
Right, because traditionally, what was woman's role was just a wife and a mother and taking care of just the household activities, right? Doing house chores. But अब उसका role क्या change हो गया? Now she's a working woman, right?
Right.
She's no more just staying home. So वो कब start हो गया? जब वो rural areas से they started moving to cities, right?
Sitting. Right.
इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन, अब इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन आई होप यू ऑल नो, जो फैक्ट्रीज, राइट, ये सारी जगह पे या ऑफिस जिसमें भी जो टुडे आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू टॉक मच, ओके? सो यस, सो इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन जब स्टार्ट हो गई, जब शहरों में काम शुरू हो गए, फैक्ट्रीज हो गई, तो वुमेन का रोल भी चेंज हो गया ना. शी आल्सो स्टार्टेड वर्किंग.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who wants to read the next? Who is the next person? Ankit.
I will read, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Women's movements first developed during the 1800 in the United States and Europe. This first wave of women's movements concentrated on gaining voting rights for women. They later spread to other parts of the world until the early 19th century. Women.
1900s.
Yes, ma'am.
1900s.
Yes. Until the early 1900s, women in most countries were denied the right to vote and to pursue their educational or career goals. Many societies expected women to devote their time to raising children, preparing food, and cleaning.
Right. Okay, so who want to paraphrase it in your words about this? What did you understand? And
Yes, ma'am. Women's movements first developed during the 1800s in the United States and Europe. In Europe and United States country, in 1800 year, they developed the first movement. They started the first movement.
what was the moment about? What was their first demand when they started this moment? What they were demanding, the very first thing?
That I need to go back in article, then I will get to know again.
So in 1800s, in the United States of America and in
Europe, yes.
Europe. So
Europe.
Europe and the United States, they started this movement. The women started this movement. And it was about the vote to right, because the right to vote, sorry, because in these countries, only men were allowed to vote. Men were allowed to choose their representatives, not women.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what they demanded, that they are equal. They have this right.
Okay? They demanded in 1800 years.
In 1800s. Okay. The reason I just take away the slide sometime from you, because I do not want you to look on the slide and just read it. I just want you to just to think about whatever you read or you listened, how much you just grabbed that information, right? How much information
Yes,
you
ma'am.
gained it from there. So then what happened? What the society was expecting from them?
Society was expecting from them, they met for cooking food, and they cannot vote. They don't have permission to go outside and vote, and so
So
actually need to see that article, then only it will come.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, so and I will share that. Yes, so society was just expecting from them to stay home, raise children, right, and take
Yes,
care of,
and make food.
right, take care of the family, right? That's what they were expecting. They didn't want them to go and pursue for careers or go to get higher education, right? That's what they're expecting.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
When you say in your words, just to grab the information and put it together in your own words. That's the best way to practice speaking. Because when you, it's, see here, I'm just gonna stop this sharing again. Because it's not like you have to tell each and every thing from the reading, but just the gist, what did you get it from that slide or article?
Yes.
Right? So this
Like
was
a summary, we can explain.
right summary. So in this one, we learned that in most of the countries, people were expecting. Who were the people? Mostly the men, right? Because if women were
Yes,
demanding, it's pretty much like the men were expecting from them to stay home, don't think about to get higher education, or what their job is to raise the children, do the house chores, right? Cleaning, cooking, taking care of the family. That's what their expectations were. But women were like, no, that's not the only thing we are doing. We need equal rights. That's the moment.
yes, yes, ma'am. In early year, all mentality is they limit their mentality is men's.
Right.
Women's is like for home chores, and they take care of family, making cook food for men's, and
Right.
they limited their mentality like that.
Right. But I mean, in many countries and in many, I will say, regions, even in India, the mentality is still same, right? Didn't change much.
Yes, it is still same, but not like earlier days,
Right,
not that much.
right,
It is slowly, it is decreasing, mentality getting changed.
right, right. Yes, I mean, people are,
But still you can say like 30%, 20% are still there in every country.
right. Okay, so let's see, my next reader. Are you there? Do you want to read this slide?
Yes, of course, ma'am. The word feminist comes from the French term feminist, which
Feminism.
was feminism. Okay, yes, ma'am. Feminism, which was first used by French social reformers of the 1800 years. During the late 1800s, the central goal of feminism was the right to vote, called suffrage,
Suffrage.
suffrage, suffrage,
Mhm.
suffrage. The International Council of Women established in 1888 helped coordinate feminist efforts throughout the world. In 1893, New Zealand granted women the right to vote. Australia and many European countries followed during the early 1900. Women in the United States gained suffrage in 1920.
Right. Okay, guys, when you read these dates, it's like, for example, this one, reformers,
That is getting confused. 19th century, I can say, or what, 1900th century.
1800s, 1800s, 1888,
Yes.
1893, 1900s, hundreds. This
Um,
S is hundreds, right?
okay.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
I thought the century for S that.
okay. Yeah, 1900s. So suffrage is mean the right to vote. Okay. The right to vote called suffrage.
Suffrage.
So this is called context clues. Like context clues means when you don't even know the word, but the definition is right there in the sentence. So here, it's not gonna say like, if you read this sentence, for example, during the late 1800s, the central goal of feminism was the right to vote, called
Yes.
suffrage. So now
Suffrage. Yes, ma'am.
suffrage means, what is suffrage means? Right
Suffrage
to,
means right to vote.
right to vote. So the
Yes, that.
definition is right here. Definition is in the sentence. So this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
called context clues. से clue means कि आपको एक अब हिंदी में क्या कहोगे clue को थोड़ा इशारा कर देना किसी चीज का कि ये यहाँ पे है, थोड़ा हिंट दे देना, और हिंट भी इंग्लिश का वर्ड है बट हिंट ज्यादा हम क्या देते हैं
Yes,
ना.
ma'am.
Yes, okay. So then, so if you notice this, what was their first demand? What was first demand? It started from what?
1800.
What they were asking. What was their first demand?
They asking right to vote.
Right to vote. And if you see this in most of the countries, right? In Europe, Australia,
New Zealand,
in America, everywhere, their first demand was right to vote. That means in all these countries, only men were choosing their representatives, not women, right? So women was not taking part in voting. They didn't have that voting right. So that was the first right they got it in many countries, right to vote, right? And I don't know when it started in India, but in India also women have the same right to vote, right? Okay. So who is the next person did not get a chance to read? Ankit? Did you read, Ankit?
Yes, ma'am. After winning the right to vote, feminism began. Ma'am, what here is
Okay. Focusing.
on their issues. Just wait, ma'am.
Margaret Sanger.
Sanger of the United States and Mary Stokes of the United Kingdom helped lead the campaigns for birth control. Other feminism focused on job discrimination where
Wages.
and other issues affecting women in the workplace. In the 1960s, the civil rights movement and a student protest led to increased political activism among a younger generation of women. The efforts of these movements become known as the women's liberation movement or the second wave of feminism.
Right. So after winning the right to vote, so they got that first right? Then what the women started focusing on? They started focusing on other issues. So what were their other issues? Job discrimination, birth control, job discrimination. So because if you know, even in India, there were so many jobs where women were not allowed to take part, right? Like for example, military, policing. I'm not talking right now, but if you go back to maybe 40 or 50 years ago, it was not same, right? You remember that? Anyone? Anyone knows about Indian women's, like I remember they were not allowed to be in army or in air force or in police department. There were so many departments where women were not working, but now they are in all those fields too, right? So that was a job discrimination. So that means there were so many fields where women were not allowed to work. So their focus started to get those rights also. Now wages, what is wages mean? Anyone? Wages is money, like pay. Okay.
Yes,
Equal
ma'am.
pay.
Daily pay, equal pay, wages amount.
Right.
It is
Wages,
just a
yes,
salary about the salary, actually.
right, salary. So they were not getting the same wages, right? And there were so many other issues were affecting women in workplace. I mean, harassment. There are so many kind of harassments they were facing, and many women still face that kind of harassment. It's not like everything is fine and working good, but they just started raising their voice. They started, you know, focusing on these issues that we need to have equal rights about these issues, right? So that was kind of like the second wave of women's liberation. So who wants to tell me what we learned so far? Who want to talk about this? Just in your words. It's not like everything you know, but whatever you remember so far, let's talk about it. Isko yaad hai. That what's that? Tasneem? Let me check your name sometime. Yes, Tasneem. What
Yes,
did you,
miss.
what do you remember so far? What we learned today?
Can you repeat?
So, अभी तक आपने जो हमने पढ़ा उसमें से क्या आपको याद है? कुछ याद है आपको अभी तक जो हमने, वो नहीं है कि आपने लाइन टू लाइन बताना है, ऐसा नहीं, कुछ जो भी आपके कुछ आज की जो इतनी अभी तक की रीडिंग में कुछ बता सकते हैं आप? मुझे डेट्स नहीं चाहिए. आई एम नॉट लुकिंग फॉर कि आप मुझे बताओ 1960 में क्या हुआ था या 1924 में. नो, नॉट लाइक दैट. जस्ट ब्रीफली कि क्या.
Actually, they didn't give respect woman, and there at time there are no value woman's board. But some people who against about this, and I can't remember the date. And after that date, something has happened. And actually, I'm sorry that I wasn't there in this class. I leave it, and I was coming. In that cases, I can't remember.
So their first
Ma'am,
demand, what was their first demand?
ma'am, shall I
Right to
start?
vote?
Yes, what was their first demand?
Their first demand was they want right to vote. And
Yes.
in 1800, Europe countries and American countries, they started for demanding in 1800. And
Right. So they got that right in many countries, right? They now
yes,
had that right. But after that, they started their other demands, like what they were focusing on.
they
Anyone else?
were focusing on birth control and for jobs rights. They want for many departments.
Equal
And
pay.
wages, equal pays for pay equal wages for women also.
Right.
And
Yes. Okay, good. So let's go to the next one. Okay, I'm going to share this slide, and Simran, you want to read?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, read.
Feminism is the belief that women should have economic, political, and social equality with men. The specific ideas of feminism vary depending on time, place, culture, and other factors. Many feminists challenge traditional gender roles and demand increased educational and employment opportunities. Feminists may call for greater involvement of women in politics. They may also focus on issues related to sex and reproductive rights, the prevention of violence against women, and the well being of women throughout the world.
Right. Okay, so feminism is the belief that women should have economic, political, and social equality with men, right? So what they are demanding, what their belief is, that they should have what? Economic, political, and social equality. That's what they are looking for. The specific ideas of feminism vary. What is vary means? It's different. It's
Different,
every
different.
country, it depends on the culture also, right? In many cultures are different. So it's not like in every country women will have the same rights. It depends on the country's culture too. You understand? So it depending on the time, place, culture, and many other factors. So many feminists challenge traditional gender roles. So what was the traditional gender role? Who can tell me what was the woman's traditional gender roles? Traditional gender roles are what? The
Mean to
man.
say, take care of children's elders, and these are the main responsibilities of a woman.
So traditional means your tradition chali aa rahi hai, right? So men were working outside the home and women working inside. So that was their traditional roles. But
Yes,
now
ma'am.
it's different. It's changed. And demand increased what? Educational and employment opportunities. That's what they were demanding, that they need to change the traditional gender roles, and they were demanding for educational rights and the employment opportunities. And then they call the greater involvement of women in politics also, right? As you know, I think India was more advanced. They had a woman prime minister in when was uh, who was the woman prime minister? Indira Gandhi. Yeah. So she was a woman, right? So she was the prime minister of India for so many years. I didn't even remember how many, but she was for so many years. And she
Is it Mamata?
who?
I don't know, but is it Mamata Banerjee?
Mamata Banerjee is the Chief Minister of West Bengal.
Bengal, right? But she's also a woman, right? So women started taking part in politics in many countries, right? Many countries, even in Pakistan, if you know, Benazir Bhutto was.
Ma'am, Nirmala Sitharaman is Financial Minister of
As
India.
Oh, Nirmala Sitharaman is what?
Finance Minister of India. Finance.
Financial Minister.
I mean, no, in India, there are many women in
Yes, ma'am.
politics. In America also, many women in politics, right? But in many countries, there are women, those are in politics and on very high positions now, right? So it's changed. It's changed a lot. So they also focus on related with sex and reproductive rights, right? So women had, in many countries, they are fighting for this, right? You know, the like women wants, they should have a right to make decision of their, if they want to give a birth to children, or all these kind of they are fighting in many countries about all these issues. and violence against women. And I know I mean, if you think about, if you look around in your families or maybe in your neighborhood or in your areas or in your cities, there is so much domestic violence, right? And women are the target for domestic violence. I'm not saying men are not, maybe in some areas we sometimes see in news, बीवी ने अपने पति को मारा. But I mean, mostly women are the target in a domestic violence, right? तो वो सारी जो चीजें हैं उनके ऊपर there is a lot to work on these issues. I know there are many changes, there are many organizations. You guys know more about India. Let's talk about India. What do you know about India, में women rights or women? Talk about that. Who wants to start?
Ma'am, I can start.
Yes, go ahead, Ravi.
Ma'am, I'm a history student, and I know the history of the India's history as I know. First, I can say Samaj Sudharak for women. I don't know what the meaning of the Samaj Sudharak is. The first Samaj, social welfare.
I will say Sudharak. Yeah, I mean, same about social women empowerment. You can say.
Yes, I can say. The first social women empowerment person is Raja Ram Mohan Rao, who is the first person who is fighting for women, just like a Sati Pratha and Bal Vivaha, which is a childhood marriage.
Right,
and Sati Pratha is the basically where when the husband is died.
I don't
It is,
think so.
I just talking about the earlier stages in 1900 stages. I'm talking about that moment.
Right. Yeah.
So
the woman
first person is the, yes, ma'am. First person is the Raja Ram Mohan Rao, who is fighting for women, ma'am. After the changing the concept for women fighting against the empowerments and different decades, the empowerment has been changed for as per women, just like as you said, the voting powers and educational factors. That's mean that I said, as I know, which is
right
as a history students.
Right. But I mean, I know there are many organizations, they work, and for even Nari ke naam pe badi associations hai India mein, I know.
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Still, even still, there are associations is running right now, which is women's welfare for which is running in our society, which is running recently, is also in Delhi. Also, is women's for fighting with the for women's.
Right. But see, they sometimes the women they don't come out and talk about it, because many women actually they just keep tolerating all these things. Most of the women in domestic violence, for example, they don't talk about it. So वो अब वही है ना कि कोई किसी के घर जाके तो नहीं ना उनको कहेगा कि.
Yes, ma'am. That's why the welfare is organized. That's why the welfare is organized. So they are, if someone is noticing the from the house, their neighborhood, if someone women's is, अगर कोई वुमेन्स अगर ऐसा वो कर रही है तो कोई और उसकी जगह पे कंप्लेंट कर सकता है उसके जगह.
Right. Yeah, but if you see, there are so many videos. Sometimes I see the in-laws are not letting her to get in the house, and she's knocking on the gate and stuff like that. There is so much. I don't know. Like sometimes you never know even who is the actual defaulter, because when you see the things, you don't know the reality. But yes, the thing is like many women in many cultures are suffering, right? More, yes. There are many organizations are working, but still there are many women are still.
Yes, ma'am. Basically,
Yes.
5-6 years ago, there are some mishappening with the girls in Delhi, which is Nirbhaya case, which is very highlighted case in India as
Right.
a
Under that
crime.
case. Yes.
So that is also considered as a women's welfare.
I mean, it's not, yeah, it's not safe for women to be like, men most of the time can go late, and especially in India, it's not.
In India, yes, ma'am, that is not the same.
Yeah. I mean, these kind of things happen everywhere. It's not like it happens here too, but it's not that common, Yeah. So, okay, so let's share the next screen and read and then talk about it. So who didn't get a chance to read? Suman, let's read.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
A third waves of women's movements began in the early 1990s.
Members of these movements
these
believe that
movements
so women
believe
share the
that-
same sex.
What happened?
They are not necessarily
Who is reading?
united as a group.
She's echoing.
Who is
Echoing?
reading?
People are reading. Suman, read.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Members of these movements believe that the women share the same sex. They are not necessarily united as a group. The third wave of women's movements focuses on individuals' rights. Women and men in these movements organize into groups around specific issues and concerns.
Right. So this is mostly about that when only woman is leading, then that is not actually the moment. There should be more men involved in it, because who is ultimately will be changing that society? Men, right? The men play more important role, because why women are demanding? Women are demanding from men that we need equal rights, right? And if only women are the members of those organizations, then who will be helping them to change, right? That makes sense. That's what they're saying. So then they started that no, only not the women are the organizers of these societies or these organizations. The men should be part of all those organizations too. So that's as I don't know who was telling us about who was the first man in India who started the organizations. You mentioned the name. कौन बता रहा था? जो हिस्ट्री में को बात कर रहे थे, आप किसका नाम बोल रहे थे?
Raja Ram Mohan Rai, ma'am.
Raja Ram Mohan Rai. So Raja Ram Mohan Rai was the man, right? So that's what they are talking about. That it's not only that the women are the leading the organizations, there should be more men involved in it. Then it will be more effective. Then you can expect the changes. अब देखो ना, अगर आप ही यहाँ पे जैसे अंकल जोदिया रवि हैं, जितने भी आप हो, तो आप अगर अपने व्यूज रखोगे कि हाँ वुमेन को इक्वल राइट मिलना चाहिए, तो तभी चेंजेस आएंगी ना. अगर वुमेन ही कहे जाएंगी तो मेन कहेंगे नहीं नहीं नहीं, तो कैसे होगा, राइट? Because
You're right.
their rights from men. That's what they are asking from men, that we need equal rights. So that was the reason they decided that there should be more men involved in these organizations. Then you can expect the changes. Right? That's what it was. So I was a little scared that I might gonna cough a lot today, but I think I am a little better now. So, let's. Anyone wants to talk about it so far? What did you learn from this reading? Anyone? कोई जरूरी नहीं है आपको मुझे पूरी स्लाइड्स जितनी हमने पढ़ी हैं सारी बतानी है. कुछ भी जितना भी आपको याद रहा हो उतनी कोई बोलो. Anyone? You can say today I learned, and then.
May I, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. We learned that women demanded right to vote in 1800s, and it is called suffrage.
Yeah,
And
suffrage.
1888 established International Council of Women in 1888. And 1893, New Zealand granted the right of vote for women. And now women wants a political and economical and social equality for themselves. After that, women started to take some other issues. Nowadays, women are facing some women are facing, not everyone, domestic violence or differences like men's are getting more salary than women. So that's it, ma'am.
Yeah, good. Are you taking notes, Simran?
Yes, ma'am.
I can specifically when you were telling me the dates, right? Good. I mean, that's what I expect from you, to just take some notes, the key points, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
This person wants to talk. Anyone? Is there anyone who wants to talk? So what's your personal opinion about, what do you think? The women should have equal rights, or in which area women should have equal rights, or in which area do you think that women should not have equal rights? Especially my question is to Ankit, Ayodhya and Ravi. What do you think? It's okay. Having your personal opinion, it's fine. Even if we are agree with you or not agree with you, but you have a right to share your personal opinion. What do you think?
Ma'am, my personal opinion is stop talking about the women's welfare, because it's everyone, and everyone should know about the equality. If we're talking about the equality, so we are, we are going on to the negative, कि हम उसी बारे में क्यों बात कर रहे हैं?
Okay.
कि हमें उस बारे में नहीं बात करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि जितना हम उस बारे में बात करेंगे वो उतना ही उस चीज को लोगों की दिमाग में चढ़ता है फिर वो चीज.
Oh, so you think that there should not be any discussion or any societies, or not discussion only? No discussion on these kind of topics, you think?
No. I'm not about talking about the discussion. I'm talking about, so no need to talk about the women's welfare. No need to talk about, because everyone knows the women's power and women's equality, and everyone understand the equality of the women's.
Oh, but Ravi,
अगर हम किसी के बारे में उस चीज को बार बार बात करेंगे तो वो एक डाउन करने वाली बात हो जाती है. कि हम मेंस के लिए तो नहीं बात करते हैं कि मेंस की भी बात होनी चाहिए ऐसा, क्योंकि अब हो गया, बहुत हो गया, अब इतना अपडेट लोगों को आ चुका है.
Okay. Ayodhya, what do you say? What's your opinion, Ayodhya? Or Ankit, you already talked about it, or it was Ravi? I forgot. So Ankit, what do you think?
Ma'am, I think women empowerment is very important. I'm just taking example in my home, to my home. One time my sister is cleared in NEET and he was going to Chennai. But my father was says, why are you go to Chennai? Girls are not go too far away to home. So my mother always support me and my sister, but my father was not supported. He says girls are not go to outside in home to home. So I think This
So you feel
problem
bad
is
about it.
what?
You are feeling bad about it that your father is not letting your sister to go.
Yes, ma'am. I'm very feel guilty. But those time I think ये problem मेरे घर हो सकता था and other house too. What
Right.
matter there is.
Right.
So I convinced my father, Papa, please give me permission for the going to Chennai. But he was not give permission, and he was suddenly said marriage from
Oh,
oh, yes, किसी को बताया भी नहीं और दी का शादी सेट कर so then my mom decided one time marriage but life give chance many times no
right.
but marriage after exam my daughter then marriage in better families so my mom suddenly take a decision no you go to Chennai so I think my family is very मेरा फैमिली बहुत ही अभी बोले तो प्रॉब्लम से गुजरी क्योंकि फादर आर नॉट सपोर्टेड फॉर माय फैमिली
Right. So your mom is supporting your sister. She wants her daughter to go to Chennai, right? But your father is adamant. He is like, no, he's resisting. No, she's not. So he already fixed her wedding, right? And now there is some kind of like a, I will say it's the family dispute, right? Because everyone is not on the same page. Mom is have some different desires for her children. Dad is thinking differently, right? So he doesn't want to send her out. So Ravi, what do you say about this then?
Ma'am, I said we don't need to talk about the women's welfare because, as I know, the Kalpana Chawla went to the moon. So why we need to talk about this? If one girl is already went to the moon, it's मैम ये बहुत बड़ी चीज है कि एक लेडी मून पे जा गई और हम इस बारे में बात कर रहे हैं आज
तो बट रवि अब ये तो प्रॉब्लम आप देखो ये अंकित के घर में तो प्रॉब्लम राइट नाउ देयर इज अ इशू सो व्हाट डू यू से देन व्हाई वी शुड नॉट टॉक अबाउट इट सो he see that he is experiencing that dispute like discrimination. It is discrimination that for
मैम
men.
ये प्रॉब्लम गर्ल्स की नहीं है मेंस की है एक्चुअली गर्ल्स को नहीं समझाना मेंस को समझाना है तो मेंस के बारे में बात करनी है हमने
तो मैन वही अरे वही तो बात हो रही है ना कि वुमेन को एम्पावरमेंट करो मैन को ही तो कह रही है वुमेन okay so Ankit so now your sister is getting married or she is going to Chennai so what's the final decision
is going to Chennai
going to Chennai.
decision for taking my mom
Okay. With your mom
yes ma'am
okay Ayodhya what do you say about it what's your opinion it's fine you know having your own opinion it's okay it's not right or wrong so just whatever you think it's your belief system right
May I say something? Ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
let the men talk first and then I will give you chance yes okay
Yes, ma'am. In my opinion, women empowerment is good and it is now up to level, you can say. And sometimes it is good, but sometimes it is bad also because because of that like more campaign is going and more rules is coming, government rules and policies for that. So some women's also taking disadvantage of that sometimes. So it is good, but sometimes it is not good if they are taking a negative ways, getting advantage of that.
right yes I am with you I agree because, for example, there are many cases where
Yes, yes, that
playing
happened. So that
yes, yeah, it's there too. See, there are always bad apples everywhere, right? In every area.
that creating negative thoughts about that. If a
Yeah.
woman's getting like disadvantage, then also in mind coming like that, we will not do next time help of that girl or women's. That negative thoughts is coming because of that incidents.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Okay, who is the next one? Yes, Suman, you wanted to say something.
Yes, ma'am. If we say about past of India, for many years there were not any female judge of Supreme Court. But recently news is that three chief minister of India's women have taken oath by president. And ma'am, this is a big example for
Women empowerment.
ancient ma'am, past and present time.
The difference in
Yes, ma'am.
and,
These are a big difference between past and future, past and present.
mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
It's like women have more equal rights. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
You're saying?
Ma'am, I am so glad that this is a big news for us that now is India's women become a judge of Supreme Court of India.
Right, right. Yeah, Supreme Court judge. Okay, so she, the first woman. Okay, good to know. Okay, who is Simran? You have anything to say?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in our constitution, they are providing equal rights to women, but in reality, it is totally opposite.
Mhm.
As in urban areas, you can see women have more freedom than rural areas.
Mhm.
Like if you can see Delhi, Mumbai, and Chandigarh like cities, there women have more freedom. They work in every field.
Mhm.
Even now, they started driving job too.
Right.
But in rural areas, like in villages or less developed cities, girls don't have freedom. Even some girls are not allowed for higher education.
Right. Yeah.
So I think reality is the opposite.
Ma'am, actually, rights is equal in India for women's and men's. Actually, more than that, you can say more than men, women's have rights nowadays, as per the government. And they also make the reservation for women's.
Oh.
They made, but the problem is there in the mentality of people. Main problem, because in corporate sector or in government there are no any discrepancy for men's and women's, but only mentality their family and their society and some rural areas, they have like mentality, they are not giving full freedom, like, and they are not understanding both are same, they can do anything.
Right.
So that is the main problem.
Right. Because the
Means
government.
it's all depend on the atmosphere where we live.
Right. So see here, Simran, then government is not responsible for these things because that is something social issue. That's something cultural.
Exactly, ma'am.
It's a cultural issue. It it depends. Like as you said, like it's more in rural areas, so you cannot change their mindset,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes.
Because वो बहुत सारा जो आपके व्यूज हैं, जो आपका थिंकिंग है, you get it from your family also sometimes. Just go
Yes.
in generations, right?
Yes, ma'am.
वो सोसाइटी में चेंज आने की जरूरत है, जिसमें उसमें लॉ
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I know many students sometimes say, ma'am, it's just written in the books. Yes, it is, but we the people are the ones, those they need to make some changes in our thinking also, right? कि हमने कैसे किस तरह से
every man is not bad. A little bit, I think a little bit persons have these type of I think thinking right now, because timing's changing.
Right, it's changing, of course. Like that's what I say. When I left India and now when I go back to India, it's a lot different. Even the way the girls are living, or the girls are moving around, or the way they dress up, it's changed a lot. And the way they behave, and especially in cities, I will say it's very different now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So anyone has anything else to talk about? Anyone? So tomorrow, Sunday, I will see you at the same time. I was kind of a little scared today. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have a cough. मुझे काफी ज़्यादा cough चल रही है कुछ दिनों से, इसीलिए मैंने कोई lesson भी upload नहीं किया बिल्कुल because I was, but ठीक ही रहा, थोड़ा बहुत लगा था मुझे, but I was fine. So if you like this session, and give me a thumbs up, and please spread the message. Tell your family, friends, whosoever wants to learn English and wants to practice. Everyone is welcome.
Yes, ma'am, sure. I recommend for one friend.
Okay, sure. This is
Me too, ma'am. I recommend my friend Pooja. She is in Kathmandu, but she is in function right now, so she did not don't attend the class.
okay. Yeah, it's more, I will say, interesting class when we have more people and bring their own opinions and we discuss it. It's more fun also, and we learn from each other's experiences and their point of views, right, on any topics. So it was a very good class. So I hope to see most of you on time tomorrow, 8:30. Have a wonderful
Sure,
day.
ma'am.
Bye.
Okay,
Thank you,
bye.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.